The covert narcissists, I essentially call the biggest mind fuck of all of them because they're quiet. They're like this slow drip method of messing with your mind, messing with your emotions, control, manipulation. My mother was the master of the silent treatment. So that was her way of controlling her children, especially myself and my sister. She never did that to my brother. But if she didn't like something we did, she would not talk to us. Well into my adulthood, when I moved to California, she didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. She actually told me, well, you're taking my grandchildren away, and I don't want to talk to you right now. And literally wouldn't answer the phone, wouldn't speak to me until I called her in tears, apologizing
Ah,
for for living my life and being a grown up.
yeah,
But
no
how many
kidding.
times I had called her to apologize for things that she did more often than not. But that's a method of covert narcissism. So it is a more subtle type of narcissism. Overt is what we generally understand as the textbook definition of narcissism because they're more grandiose, in your face, egotistical, and they're easier to spot. They're very obvious in many ways. And even if they weren't necessarily diagnosable as having narcissistic personality disorder, even having strong narcissistic tendencies, the ones that stand out more are leaning on that side of the spectrum because they're also borderline sociopaths because they're kind of emotionless when it comes to how they affect other people. That was my father. He didn't care things he said. He said horrible things to the point where I would say, I wish he would just hit me instead of say some of the things he said to me. And this was a man who hit me rather frequently. So for me to welcome that over some of the things he would say, yeah, it made me well versed in narcissism. And hence why I am a self-proclaimed expert because there's nothing I have not experienced in terms of narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and to really need to understand that and to understand the layers of that because what led me into my work with Old Souls is I was first doing this work where I was working with people that had dealt with narcissistic abuse. But what I started to realize every time I was working with someone that dealt with narcissistic abuse, they were either an old soul or they were raising an old soul. And then on the flip side, if I was working with someone that identified as an old soul, there was a narcissism somewhere in their life and more often than not in their family line. So I noticed that connection on a let's call it soul level lessons. This sort of combination that is learning, growing, evolving together, but in a rather traumatic fashion.
No kidding. I love the old soul part. I 100% believe that I am an old soul without a shadow of a doubt. I know this.
Yes.
I've always known it. Even when I was little, I understood things that I probably shouldn't have at the young age of 9 years old. There are things that I could see things. I'm not an intuitive medium by any stretch of imagination, but I definitely know that I've chosen to come back for specific reasons.